Tragedy, and this afternoon we're learning more about the 17 people killed in the high-rise fire in the Bronx on Sunday. We have video of one family's dramatic escape from the 15th floor as they made it down those stairs. And we're going to show you the FDNY's new campaign to try and save lives.
Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis joining us live in the Tremont section with the very latest. Marcus.
Well, Dave and Liz, we are outside the mosque around the corner from the building where family members have been coming for support. They are awaiting word from the medical examiner that the bodies have been released so that they can plan a funeral that they are hoping to have in keeping with their faith as quickly as possible. They are hoping for either Friday or Saturday. In the meantime, they continue to grieve the overwhelming loss.
For this past couple of nights, sometimes I just woke up at night thinking that, I'm just dreaming.
But he is living a nightmare, mourning the loss of his brother and sister-in-law. In the chaos of Sunday's fatal fire, Yusafa Jawara snapped a picture after helping EMTs load his sister-in-law into an ambulance, not realizing who was on the stretcher.
I looked at the picture again, showed it to my wife, and then my wife said, "That's her." Not knowing that I was helping.
Jawara, like many of the victims' relatives, is seeking comfort at a mosque where virtually every family was a congregant. The close-knit Gambian community has rallied to support those who are grieving. Tijan Jane's 27-year-old daughter, Sarah, a Lehman College student, was killed. Another daughter is still in critical condition.
So I'm trying to escape up. I look around, you can't find nobody. It's much dark, like in between, and we can see. So I'm trying to hold down the wall to climb up to go back to my apartment.
As the investigation goes on, the FDNY today released a public service announcement with images showing the devastation inside the building, reminding New Yorkers to close their apartment door when fleeing a fire. Back at the mosque, donations continue to pour in from far and wide.
All the neighbors, America, New York, Bronx, all stand up with us. That brings joy into our heart that we're not alone in this terrible. We thank Allah for that.
Another difficult conversation that families are having is whether or not to bury relatives here in New York or in West Africa. They're having those conversations with relatives back in Gambia. Those are decisions families will have to make. Coming up at 6, we'll hear.
The apartment fire in the Bronx that killed 17, including 8 children. Investigators are looking into whether a self-closing door malfunctioned that allowed smoke to spread through the New York City high-rise, turning the stairwells into a death trap. Now, the cause of the fire is being blamed on an electric space heater. More on that in just a minute. Meanwhile, more than a dozen others remain hospitalized, including several in critical condition. And New York City's mayor warned today that the death toll could rise. CBS's Nancy Chen is at the scene. Good evening, Nancy.
Nora, good evening to you. We have just learned that federal regulators have opened an investigation into whether the space heater that sparked this fire was defective. Firefighters have described battling thick smoke to save people inside, even as their oxygen tanks began to empty. Large flames and heavy smoke shot out of the second and third floor windows of this Bronx high-rise. Just as Karen DeJesus says she was about to feed her son.
I was hearing people yell, help me, and I realized it was really a fire.
DeJesus ran to the back room of her third floor apartment as it started to fill with smoke. Firefighters used ladders to get her out. You climbed out through the window.
Yeah, it's very scary.
The fire started in a bedroom of a third floor duplex apartment after a space heater malfunctioned. Investigators are looking into whether the safety doors designed to close in the event of a fire also malfunctioned or if they were propped open, allowing smoke to spread quickly throughout the 19-story building. New York City Mayor Eric Adams toured the devastation today. Mayor Adams, you just came from inside this building. What did you see inside?
Looking at the apartment where the space heater was located, the grandmother had burns to her feet. That's how they woke up, feeling the heat from the fire. Just really intense.
Space heaters are linked to more than 25,000 house fires every year, resulting in more than 300 deaths in the United States. Today, the FDNY issued these reminders. Keep space heaters at least 3 feet away from bedding or curtains. Don't use in a bathroom, and never use an extension cord. You had emphasized the importance of fire safety, closing the door. Why is that important?
It's crucial. The number of lives we lost were due not to actually fire, but smoke. And something simple as closing the door can allow firefighters to respond and save lives.
17 people lost their lives in this tragedy. It comes less than a week after an apartment fire in Philadelphia claimed the lives of 12 people.
Working to identify all of the victims in Sunday's deadly fire in the Bronx.
We are learning more about the victims of the fire through their neighbors and family members. And joining us this morning for a very tough interview is Haji Dukure, who lost 5 members of his family in this fire. So, Mr. Dukure, thank you so much for being here and during such a difficult time for you and your family. And let us just offer our sincere condolences on the loss of 5 of your family members.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me this morning.
So, Mr. Dukure, let's begin with this. The fire claiming the life of your niece and her entire family. I want to remember them first and foremost. What can you tell us about them? When did they arrive here from Gambia, and how long have they actually lived in the Bronx in that specific building?
First of all, like I said, I want to start by thanking you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about my family, my niece, Haja, her husband, Haji, and her 3 beautiful children. My niece she's lived in the U.S. for about 15 years, and she lived her entire life in the United States at that building. Unfortunately, they all perished in the unfortunate incident that happened with the fire.
So full of life and so much ahead of them. Can you tell us about
the kids were always fun and joy to be around. They were actually the center of their life. My niece was, she actually stayed home. She was a stay-at-home mom to take care of the kids. The son, Mustafa, was just an amazing boy, and almost all the neighbors know him. I'm hearing stories about him right now, going around knocking doors during the fire to help people. Yeah. I couldn't confirm that, but I was not surprised. I mean, he has that type of personality. It was just so much fun to be around.
Yeah, there was an article that was in one of the papers that really spoke about that 12-year-old boy going around knocking on doors to alert the neighbors and really make sure that they all got out. And that could very well have been your nephew. And if that is true, I mean, what a hero. And that just goes to speak to his personality, right?
Absolutely. I'm not surprised if that was him. I couldn't confirm it, but I will not be surprised at all.
So where did your niece and her family live? Which floor did they live on?
They live on the 11th floor. I'm sorry, on the 19th floor. They live on the last floor of the building.
Wow, they live on the last floor of the building. Right. Any idea if they had ever complained about any issues in that building prior to this weekend's fire?
Not really. I mean, the building, as far as we know from an outsider's perspective, seemed to be a very safe building. I've personally known that building for over 30 years, and we've really not had any complaints, just minor issues here and there. But for the most part, the landlord will take care of it, and they'll move on. No serious complaints at all.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They lived on the 19th floor, so far from where this fire started. There must be so much frustration for you and your family, knowing that it was a faulty door that may have led to all that smoke heading up to the higher floors above them.
Right. That's the information we received, because when I first received the call and I was told that the fire was on the 3rd floor, I said, okay, it's unfortunate, but I think they must be safe.
Yeah.
So it was really shocking. And when we first received the news that, well, they've confirmed 2 of the children have passed, it was like, okay, Jesus. We started asking about the rest and learned that the 3rd one passed until yesterday we received confirmation that both my niece and her husband, they both also passed and perished in the fire.
I'm just so sorry for what you are going through. And I can't even imagine the thoughts, because you're right. You think about the floor that they lived on, hearing the news, and what we're understanding is that because of the doors that were open, some of that smoke went up the stairwell, acting like a chimney, really, to the top floor where they were. Now, we do also understand, sir, that some families, and maybe you're going through this yourself, are concerned about not being able to observe Muslim burial customs. So is anything being done to help some of the families? Do you know about some of these situations? Are you going through it?
Well, we've not personally gone through that yet, and but we are very much concerned about that. We're having a family meeting today, and we did congregate at the local mosque yesterday, which is always the center of our community, and that was brought up. and we wanted to make it clear to the authorities what some of the priorities are and what are some of the rights. And we wanted to make sure that those were taken care of.
Yeah, and you know, I think a lot of people are worried also about how to help support in some of these situations. I mean, you have to bury 5 different members of your family. Is the city, have they reached out to you to offer the support to figure out ways to pay for this moving forward?
Well, the city, the elected officials actually have been extremely supportive. The mayor has been there a couple of times. They've spoken to groups, not directly as individual. I mean, so many things are happening right now at the same time, so it's really hard to sort out things. And I know the Gambia Youth Organization created a GoFundMe page, and lots of helps are coming out there. But the very first thing, honestly, my family is focused on is how to make sure we get the body and to make sure we have them in our hands, and we can think about how we're going to bury them, whether we'll bury them here. Maybe this would be their final resting place, or we'll take them to our original home.
Has that been a struggle? Have you been able to, is there an issue getting the bodies right now from the medical examiner?
No, so far there's been no issues getting the bodies. I mean, they've contacted us, they let us know that the bodies are there, so we've contacted the local funeral home through our local mosque that I've worked with the funeral homes before, so we don't foresee any issues with that at all.
And I can imagine that they still have family members still living in Gambia. Have you been able to reach out to them, and have you been able to share this news with them about the passing of your niece and her family?
Absolutely. As we were speaking now, my phone just rang. My younger sister is with my elder sister, whose daughter it is. They're just calling me now as it is, and I'm able to speak to the family. It's been tough, but we have faith on our side as Muslims. We learn to accept such tragedies, unfortunately, as it is. But they are hanging in there. They are hanging in there. I will be calling them as soon as I get off this call.
Well, they're lucky to have somebody like you, because you are showing a heck of a lot of strength through all of this. And if we can provide any help or assistance with you along the way, please let us know. We want to help you along with this. You know, and again, we are offering our deepest condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for having us.
Yeah. God bless you and your family.
Same to you. Thank you.
Oh, I can't even imagine just seeing those children and being a parent. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
To see that.
It's absolutely very, you know, and the thing right now is that New York City is doing everything it can, wrapping its arms around that kind of community and that family right now. And that's what New Yorkers know what to do. They really step up in the moments of need.
Yeah, and if you want to help and you want to find charities to donate to the victims of this Bronx fire, you can find them on our website, pix11.com. You can donate clothes, supplies, or money, whatever you can do to help.
Flames shot like a blowtorch from a third-floor apartment.
Oh my gosh.
But fire was the least of their problems as a lazy Sunday morning turned to pandemonium at the Twin Parks Northwest apartments.
Everything in my apartment is black. The walls, the floors, my dog, my kids. So they just got us out just in time.
It was instead the smoke, a thick column of smoke, black as night, that turned a 19-floor building into a death trap. An army of rescue workers pulled out one lifeless body after another, fruitlessly attempting CPR. But late this afternoon, the death toll approached 24, at the worst loss of life in a New York City fire in more than 3 decades.
This is a horrific, painful moment for the city of New York.
We were sleeping and then my kids scream, say fire, fire.
It started in Mamadou Wage's third-floor duplex where he lives with his wife and 8 kids, one of whom was trapped on a burning bed. Wage has burns on his nose from when he leapt through the flames to rescue his daughter, who is also burned but alive, though so many of his neighbors did not survive.
I don't want to anybody life stay in this. I don't want to hear that. Say anybody dead in this fire? That's why I worry about it.
And he told us he had a space heater, an electric space heater plugged in right next to the bed that was on fire. And now late this afternoon, late this evening, we've been told that that was in fact the space heater that led to this tragedy. Investigators believe the smoke flew through that building because when the family fled their apartment, they left their door open, causing a death trap behind them.